In 2028, the government announces that the world's energy resources will be fully exhausted within 5 years. To solve this problem, it's been decided to test the Shepard Particle Accelerator in the orbiting Cloverfield station. If all goes well, this would provide Earth with infinite energy. British engineer Ava doesn't want to leave her husband Michael alone because they recently lost their children to a fire and they should be working on fixing their relationship. But Michael convinces her to join the Shepard mission even if it takes years because they'll all die if she doesn't find a solution. Ava joins a crew formed by American Commander Jason, German physicist Ernst, Brazilian Dr. Monk, Irish engineer Gordon, Russian engineer Sasha, and Chinese engineer Ling. The team works wonderfully together, but unfortunately they fail at activating Shepard, and they keep trying for the next 2 years. Ava keeps in touch with Michael through video calls, and he updates her on the awful state of the world. When Ava needs some extra comfort, she also plays old videos of her children. The mood in the station is tense because they only have power for 3 more tries and the chances are low. The news they get from Earth isn't encouraging either. The world is coming apart under oil wars and conspiracy theorists believe Shepard is dangerous because it could rip open portals into parallel universes that will bring monsters to Earth. This mood often ends up triggering petty arguments among the crew that end up in actual physical fights that the commander has to stop. The team gets their emotions under control when it's time for the 47th test. After lots of calculations and care, they finally manage to get a beam going, but it immediately overloads and explodes. The entire station shakes and throws the crew from ceiling to floor, the power goes out, and a fire begins around the Shepard. Ernst puts it by opening the ventilation vents into space, but there's still the matter of fixing the power, which is harder than it looks because for some reason the system is all scrambled. Moments later, they have power again, thanks to the backup, because their main power is fried. The O2 tanks are leaking, the reserves are severely diminished, and Ava keeps trying to contact Earth for help to no avail. When the engineers check the comms they make a shocking discovery: Earth is nowhere to be found. The first theory they can think of is that Shepard has thrown them across the galaxy, prompting Ava to check her own private communicator and sadly confirms she can't contact her husband either. This dire situation triggers another argument among the crew as they look for someone to blame for the malfunction. Jason takes a moment to cry in private, and once he's calmed down, he breaks up all the arguments and reminds his crew their priority is to survive. Each person is assigned a repair to work on, but when Ava and Sasha go to check on the gyroscope that aids in the station's navigation, they find it missing. That's not the only weird thing happening. Sasha keeps touching his face because he feels something bothering him under the skin, and there are some weird groaning noises coming from one of the walls. Yet another argument begins because half of the crew doesn't want to break a wall and release something dangerous, but they don't have any other choice. As soon as they take the panel off, they are shocked to find a woman named Mina Painful stuck among the wires. Nobody knows who she is, but she mentions Ava's name. The crew immediately cuts all the wires and takes Mina out to take her to the infirmary, where they put her to sleep so that Monk can take care of her without more pain. Meanwhile on Earth, Michael wakes up in the middle of the night when he feels the whole house shaking. Looking through the window shows him lots of explosions outside, and when Michael checks his phone, he sees messages from everyone freaking out over a possible European invasion having reached the USA. Then Michael checks the internet for news, and while the government swears it wasn't a nuclear weapon, they still won't tell what caused the explosions. Michael calls the hospital he works at to see if he's needed, and he gets flabbergasted when he hears the actual facts about what's happening. Back in the station, the crew is arguing again. The gyro is missing, the system is still scrambled, and a mysterious woman appeared inside the wall, so they feel completely lost. Jason tells everyone to go back to work on the repairs since they're still the priority, but Ernst asks Ling to meet him in the X deck in 10 minutes to see if they can take control of the situation because he's done with Jason's orders. This is overheard by Sasha. While trying to fix Shepard, Ernst snaps and yells at Ling, who quickly puts him in his place and reminds him they're a team. Meanwhile in the rec room, the foosball is moving on its own. In the greenhouse, Gordon discovers the worms are gone. Sasha keeps obsessing with his skin and looking at his face in the mirror, thinking he can see something crawling inside him. Suddenly, his left eye moves on its own, and Sasha begins creepily talking to himself. Then he goes to the 3D printer and makes a gun that he takes to threaten Ernst and Ling, thinking he can make them confess to some secret conspiracy. Sasha starts coughing while he speaks and unexpectedly throws up before falling to the floor as his body goes through a seizure. Ling puts the gun away while the crew takes Sasha to Monk, but before the doctor can do anything, Sasha throws up the missing worms and dies. A terrified Ava goes to her room to stop herself from having a breakdown, but she returns when she hears Mina has woken up. Jason is wary of this woman, but Ava still approaches her and asks her what she's doing here. Mina wonders the same about Ava and explains she's been in this station for 2 years, she knows all the others except for Ling. Ava tells her Ling is the Shepard engineer, but Mina says that's her own job and that Ava was supposed to be on Earth. Mina swears Ava had been the team's civilian coordinator and they were friends, but Ava still doesn't know who she is. Upset over the fact nobody knows her, Mina clings to Ava with a hug and whispers in her ear not to trust Ernst because he was the one to sabotage the ship. When Jason learns about this, he checks the system and finds emails confirming Ernst is a spy. Jason immediately goes to find him and beat him up before locking him up in a room as a prisoner, although Ernst swears he doesn't know what they're talking about. In the meantime on Earth, citywide destruction has been reported. Michael's driving to the hospital while calling people at the base to send a message to his wife only to hear they've lost contact with the station. Suddenly Michael stops the car because he sees a giant shadow walking away from a destroyed house, where young Molly is yelling for help. Michael takes her with him in the car but they can't go to the hospital because Michael gets a message that the building has been destroyed too. He promises Molly she'll reunite with her parents later, then he takes her to a shelter that belongs to a friend that is out of town where they can wait safely. In the station, Gordon is working on the repairs when suddenly a weird hole appears on the wall and swallows his arm. This strange hole is capable of moving all over the wall and dragging Gordon with him. Jason and Ava hear him cry for help and come pull him out, but once he's free, Gordon is shocked to discover he's lost his arm. Monk takes a look at it but he can't find any clues, especially since Gordon swears it doesn't even hurt. Things get weirder when the door to Ernst's room opens on its own and he comes out to find something in the corridor that makes him call the crew. Everyone joins Ernst and finds Gordon's arm crawling on the floor. Gordon swears he isn't controlling it, so the crew puts the arm under a glass box while Ernst explains this proves the conspiracy theorist right. The Cloverfield paradox is real and two realities in a multiverse are fighting to occupy the same space, creating chaos. The arm starts making writing gestures and the crew brings it a pen that the arm uses to give a message. They need to check inside Sasha. They do as the arm says and to everyone's surprise, they find the missing gyroscope inside Sasha's stomach. They immediately put it